Welcome. In this video, we are going to take a look at an advanced technique for running subqueries in builder pages. So just a brief second of background. When we query a database, we are going to usually return rows in this format. We can certainly group data together by using the group by clause, but this quickly becomes unwieldy and it's a very unnatural way to work. So therefore, when we're doing raw code in PHP, generally it's easiest to run one main query, and then as we're echoing and cycling through results, to perform a subquery based on some dynamic value. And then this gets us that nice tiered logic without the hassle of trying to write super complex database queries. And I should also say real quick that this is an advanced video. If you are not a PHP developer and a MySQL developer, you will very quickly become lost. Though the good news is, if you still need help with this type of query, shoot me an email, info@rackforms.com. Always happy to help out with this type of work. Anyway, so that disclaimer said, here's what we get in RackForms. So we're repeating over the names in the database, and again, this is the same data set right here. We're repeating over these names, but then we're performing a subquery and even performing some logic here. This is generic logic, but it just shows us that we can perform logic. So how do we do this? The easiest way is to take a look at what we're doing in the code. So we are using custom PHP code here, but we're using knowledge of how RackForms works when it comes to builder repeaters to get our proper values. So the first thing to understand is, generally when we're taking values out of a database query in a builder repeater, we're using token form, right? So we're using, in this case, name is going to grab the column name name. Behind the scenes, though, this token is simply doing this: $row age, $row name, $row email, etc. So in other words, $row is the name of the variable that the repeater uses. As long as we know $row, we can directly access any one of the columns that's coming through in the repeater query. We then take $row, pass it to a function call, you can see sub here, and then the result gets put into res. Res then is run through a for each, and then putting into R, we're echoing out the columns of this database query right here, right, our subquery. And then here's where our logic works as well. So there's a couple things going on in here. So we already talked about how $row contains the raw column values. So clearly we are getting a value here somehow. It is important to note that we can't use tokens in PHP function calls. We have to use the raw PHP variable name, right? But again, we know it's row. This is where the tricky bit comes in. Res is obviously understandable. We're just returning a result. But what is sub? What is sub doing? Where does it come from? Well, sub is actually this guy right here. So this database query item right here selects all from epidemo where age equals this value, right? $age, right? So it's looking for a PHP variable called age. It gets $age from our function call definition. This is the big secret. In other words, I could go in here and I could write raw PHP code that queries a database, right? I could do that. I could put in my PHP blocks because any PHP is accepted in here, and I could just start typing away and make a function call, right, that queries the database. But we can use the query module to do that for us much, much easier. And in this case, what we're doing is we're saying we're actually going to define a function called sub. It's going to get a single PHP variable called age. Then we're going to check this box that says function call returns result variable. And this, of course, means that the function call then is going to return the results of this query. Right? So sub age is our function signature. We return a value, and therefore we can do this then. So here's our function call. We pass in an age value, and then we just plop that into this guy right here. The end result, as we already saw, is that as we're repeating through this value here, we're using one token to display the name, right in here. But then this for each block right here, because it's in this tr, this self-contained tr right here, is then simply going to repeat over the result of this database query. And again, the end result is this right here. So here is the builder value, and then here's the result of that subquery. So again, it's an advanced technique. It requires knowledge of PHP coding, but hopefully knowing that repeater puts things in $row, and knowing that we can just put any PHP code that we want, and then knowing that our query module can have custom function calls that can return result variables. We're going to make this process much faster, and you can use this job, which by the way is in builder example jobs using subqueries. You can use this guy at any time to use as a template for creating more interesting logic. Of course, though, if you have any questions, we're always happy to help out with this type of stuff. So shoot me an email at info@rackforms.com, and we'll be happy to answer your question. So thanks for watching.